Who does not want a more powerful vocabulary? It makes you more confident, you sound smarter, and most importantly, you are able to express yourself precisely using exactly the right word for the right situation. So you've been trying. You've signed up for those word of the day emails. You have your flashcards. You have lists of words that you want to learn. It seems like you remember them in the moment, but then they just don't stick. So you can't really use them when you need to. That is so frustrating, but it's not your fault. No one can boost their vocabulary that way. Why? Because that's just not how we learn. Today, you are going to learn a 4-step foolproof method to learn new words and boost your vocabulary. Follow this method and you will truly learn new words so you can use them when you need to. So let's get to it. But before, let me take a quick moment to remind you to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, share this video with others you think will find it interesting or helpful. So, why are word of the day emails and flashcards not working to learn new words? Here's why. Research indicates that you need between 10 to 20 meaningful encounters with a word to truly learn it. Okay? And what does it mean to say that you have learned a word? It means that the word is now part of your lexicon. That repository of words in your brain, those are words that you have a very comfortable understanding of, and you have filed them efficiently in your brain so that they can be retrieved at will when you need to use it. So it is no longer just a word you've heard or a word you've read. It is a word that resides comfortably in your brain, and you're able to call upon it. And you're able to use it when you need to in your spoken or written communication. So that's what we mean by learning a word. The first step in my 4-step method is that you need to encounter these words naturally. What does this mean? This means that you encounter the word when you're reading something, when you're listening to something. So already you have a personal connection, right? You're reading something because you chose to read it. You're listening to something because you chose to listen to it. So that word and that context is meaningful to you because it is something you chose. Okay? So that by itself is going to give you a leg up in this process of learning. So that encounter, okay, you heard the word or you read the word, that encounter is a passive encounter. So that's good. That is a good first step. But in order to learn the word, that passive encounter is not going to be sufficient. We need to move it from that passive encounter to many more active encounters. That passive encounter is where those words of the day or the flashcards, that is where they end. And that's why they do not help you learn words. You cannot learn words through just passive encounters. So the next 3 steps in my 4-step foolproof method are all ways in which you increase your active exposures. Remember what we said? 10 to 20 active exposures or active encounters with that word. So steps 2, 3, and 4 are going to give you those active encounters. Step number 2 is to write it down. And I don't mean type it on your phone or on your computer. I do mean write it, as in handwrite it in a little journal, any kind of little paper journal that you can write words in, okay? And it may sound really old-fashioned, but it helps. It makes a huge difference. Why? Because when you write, more cognitive and motor processes are engaged, which means you have to be more mindful and in the moment when you are writing. So it's less likely that you're going to be distracted and thinking about something else while you are writing. It's hard to do, right? When you're writing, you have to have a lot more focus than when you're typing. Like I can be typing something and be thinking about something completely different because I can just look at the letters that I need to type and my hands know where to go for that. So my brain can be doing other things when I'm typing something. It's not the same when you're writing. Try it if you don't believe me. So write it down, handwrite it, write the meaning of the word. Also write down whether it's a noun, a verb, an adjective. That is your first active encounter with the word. Okay, good. We did our first step. We encountered it naturally. We wrote it down, hand wrote it down. Third step is to bring that word to life. Okay, think of that word that you have encountered and written down as an old skull that is discovered by an archaeologist. It is indistinguishable, at least to us, from any other skull. But if you use computer modeling to add layers of tissue and muscle and skin, then that skull becomes a face. Now it is a distinguishable entity. It has features, it has specific characteristics that we can hold on to, and we are able to remember that face. Like what they did with Richard III's skull, right? They found it some years ago under a parking lot in London, and they reconstructed what his face might have looked like, right? We may not recognize the skull as Richard III, but the face, yeah, we can recognize that face. We can hold, there are many more things in a face that we can hold on to: the eyes, the shape of the nose, the shape of the chin, etc., etc. That's a perfect analogy for what we're trying to do with our words. We want to convert them from just being a skull to being a distinguishable face. So how do we do that with a word? What we have to do is learn that word in a multifaceted way. So here are some ways you can do that. Learn different forms of the word. If the word is a noun, think of, is there an adjective? Is there an adverb? Is there a verb that comes from that noun? So now you know that word in many different parts of speech. So you have added a little bit of layering to that word already. Next, what are some words that mean similar things to our word? Okay, so you're looking for synonyms. What are some synonyms for this word? What are some antonyms? What are words that are opposite in meaning to that word? Synonyms, antonyms, different forms of the word. Do you see? We're starting to add layers to help us really grasp the meaning of that word. What is the tone of this word? Does it have a positive connotation? Does it have a negative connotation? Is it a neutral tone? What is it? What is the intensity? Does it signify an extreme level of something? Does it signify a mild level of something? Is it somewhere in between? Where is it on that intensity spectrum? Try some mnemonic hacks, right? So let's say the word is gregarious. Gregarious, meaning somebody who's charming, affable, easy to talk to, right? So, okay, if the word is gregarious, think of a mnemonic hack. So maybe I could say the gregarious gorilla in a gown. Okay, doesn't mean anything, but you have that alliteration, the gregarious gorilla in a gown. That brings up an image. That gorilla is very friendly, very affable. It might help me remember the word. Okay, so all of those things are going to help bring that word to life. You are looking at different forms. You're looking at synonyms, antonyms, intensity, tone. Try some of those mnemonic hacks I talked about. That's all going to help. And you're writing this down in your journal, okay? Because again, you might remember it today. Tomorrow you can go back and review it, right? So write it all down in your journal. Now we come to the fourth step. And in many ways, this is what is going to make the difference between you learning a word and not learning it. And I bet you have guessed what it is. Use it. The more you use it, the more effectively it's going to get stored and filed in your brain. So what are some ways we can use this word? Okay, create sentences in which that word would be appropriate. Okay, and if you have watched any of my other videos, anytime we're looking at vocabulary words, what do I always do? I give you example sentences, because sentences give context to a word, and the more context it has, the more things it has that we can hold on to that help us store that word in our brain. Make a personal connection with the word. So we were saying the word was gregarious, right? Okay, who do I know who is gregarious? I know somebody named Gary who is gregarious. I can say gregarious Gary. Write it down, right? Oh, now I have a personal connection. I know what that word looks like in action. What Gary does, that is being gregarious. Okay, so make that personal connection with the word. Create scenarios. Let's say you don't have a personal connection, but create a scenario in which you can use that word. So it's a hypothetical situation, but you can use that word. And what are you doing? You're actively engaging with the word as you're doing each of these activities. Remember, meaningful encounters, active engagement, active exposure. That's what's going on. Everybody has social media these days, right? Post something on social media that uses that word. That's going to help. Use it in different conversational contexts. That's going to help. Again, the more you use it, the better you will learn the word. And here's the thing. If you're not sure if you use that word correctly, you can ask the person, like, did I use that word correctly? They would be thrilled to help you because that means they know something that you don't. People love doing that, right? So use that to ask people straight out, did I use that correctly? Right? Because that it reinforces, oh, I do know how to use that word correctly. And remember what I said, that journal is going to be really helpful because then you can go back and review the words and you will be amazed. The words you have been using, you will be like, oh yeah, I know this word now. And you can put a check next to that word. And what is more satisfying than being able to check off things, right? Okay, so let's recap. Today, we learned my foolproof 4-step method to boosting your vocabulary. Step 1, encounter it naturally. Step 2, handwrite it down in a journal. Step 3, bring that word to life. Step 4, use it, use it, use it. Okay? This method is going to do what those flashcards and what that word of the day was never able to do. You are going to truly learn new words and you are going to boost your vocabulary, which is going to make you a confident and effective communicator, which is what all of us want. So try out my 4-step method and in the comments below, let me know how it worked for you. I am confident that it is going to help you learn new words and boost your vocabulary. Thank you as always for watching. Before you go, remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to share the video with other people you think will find it interesting or helpful. I'll see you next week.